So I would like to pass something out to you all real quick. All that this is a
Thank you.
same copy of the slide, but it also talks about the ordinances that we utilize when we issue citations or warnings and what our guideline is for that. Chief? So as you can see, this in 2017 we had approximately 406 noise complaints, and we issued 21 citations. Use the different various codes. So far, out of those 21, 10 have pled guilty and 8 were dismissed. 2 were amended and 1's still pending at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just working through the process of those complaints. On this next chart here, it shows the difference between all the years. As you can see, our noise complaints have dropped. This last year we had 406, as I stated. And as you notice that the citation number went up, so I went back and actually did a review of that because I figured that might be a little concerning to you, because in the past, typically we try to educate first and then we'll issue a citation or make an arrest. So I wanted you to be aware of why those went up. Out of those 21, 7 citations were given to individuals who had been contacted at least twice within a 2-day period. So we were starting to go back. So a citation was issued. 8 of those actually we made arrests on, and in those 8 that we made arrests on, they were due to some form of a violent nature, maybe a domestic that wasn't completely physical, but it was still enough that people called, so we took them on that. And then 6 of the citations were actually due to individuals being contacted 4 or more times in a 2-year period. And one of those individuals was actually contacted 62 times out of a 2-year period. So we'd had contact many times, and we decided obviously that it was time to address it in another manner. Education wasn't working, and we'd been more than fair enough, I think, during those times. So that shows, as I stated, it shows that there's a drop in our actual complaints, but the numbers are up a little bit on our citations. But it's not because we're not still educating. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, back in 2008, when we revised this ordinance, I was on the council at that time, and I can remember when we brought this up, my gosh, we had people worried about our officers being heavily handed in this, and as you can see, the noise complaints have gone down, down, down consistently for a decade, and the reason for that is because we put something in place, because originally before this, there was these 48-hour notices that we had to have and all kinds of incredibly dumb things. And so sometimes our officers just simply have to tell people to behave themselves, turn the noise down, and most of them comply with that. You can tell that by the numbers. You only had 21 citations out of 406. I think that's pretty good. And whenever, the whole idea about that noise ordinance thing too is that if you had repeat offenders of it, yeah, they deserve a citation. Yeah, because they're not getting it, and the education part of it, like you said, Chief's not working, so something else has to happen, so. Comments for Chief Fry?
So, Chief, there's 406 complaints, and the one guy accounted for 15% of that himself. 16.
Yeah, and there's some other things going on with that individual that we're dealing with as well. So we're trying to use a little compassion there and a little bit of education along the way, and at some point you do even reach with those you're trying to be compassionate with that you have to take other steps to take care of the problem.
Well, you take that into consideration, there's,
Yeah.
slightly over 300, not,
Yeah.
thank you.
Chief, thank you for the annual report.